Welcome to the Hunters Hub, a Monster Hunter community podcast for hunters by hunters. Welcome, hunters, to the Hunters Hub, episode 17. Today is a special podcast because we have a lot of fun people coming on. First and foremost, it's me, hi, Fortuan, joined again by co-host Loborin.
Hello.
And then the big news is Ariel is going to be joining us as a new co-host to sort of help make the podcast more professional and also to have another awesome voice on the podcast. So welcome, Ariel.
What's up, guys? I'm glad to be here. Glad to help out and talk about some Monster Hunter on a regular basis.
Yeah, like I do all the time. It's great. And today for our special guest, some people may know him as CsColley. We're probably just going to refer to him as Collie, but the boy wonder from Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, blind runs.
I've been called a lot of things. Boy wonder is not one of them. That's a first. Hello.
Welcome.
Right. So as we've been trying to do a little bit more, hey, here we are and what we do. So this is a Monster Hunter podcast where we're focused on discussions, and we are now on SoundCloud, Hunters Hub, YouTube, Hunters Hub. You can find us also on iTunes, which is a link to the SoundCloud, basically. And we have a Patreon, which is also called Hunters Hub. We kind of use that for now as a tip jar. We're trying to get enough to basically go SoundCloud Pro and then get it on some other platforms for everyone's viewing pleasure. So if you feel inclined, head to the Patreon page. And with all of that intro stuff out of the way, we're going to talk to Collie about, really how he got into Monster Hunter. Well, actually, part of that is we need your history, Ariel.
Oh, my history? Sure.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you want my Monster Hunter history.
Yes.
So I remember my first ever look at Monster Hunter was in a Game Informer magazine back in the PS2 days, and I thought, wow, that dragon looks really cool. I want to fight it and play that game. And alas, that never did happen. But years later, I'm on vacation, and my cousin goes, yo, you have to get this game, Monster Hunter. It's awesome. And I'm like, what's it for? And he goes, 3DS. I was like, I don't have a 3DS, but I'm on vacation, whatever. So I bought a 3DS while on vacation, bought Monster Hunter 3U, and I logged 350 hours into it. I proceeded to log 350 hours into every subsequent game. And I've actually mained a different weapon every game, which has been pretty fun.
Wow.
Right now I started with Longsword, went to Charge Blade, went to Sword and Shield with Generations with the new, like, with the oils and stuff like that. It was really fun. And then I'm doing Great Sword with Monster Hunter World. So I'm a very versatile hunter. I love the game. And I'm an actual, like, very avid podcaster, so I figured that might as well get into this and help exposure for the game as much as I can.
Yeah, and I appreciate you coming on. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm here to help, and let's do whatever we can to get the show, get more listeners, get better content and more content, and make the listeners happy.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Collie, on to you. From what I know, you started with Freedom Unite. Am I wrong?
No, that is correct.
Okay, so I'll let you take it from there because I brought him on because I really enjoy his content, and I think it's a unique take on how to experience Monster Hunter.
Yeah, so, and listening to Ariel talk actually reminded me what my very first experience with Monster Hunter was. So years and years ago, it may have been 6 or 7 years at this point, shortly after Freedom Unite first came out, whenever that was. I had a PSP. I had an actual PSP, and I was looking for games to play. I was broke at the time. I didn't have anything, but I did have an SD card. I obtained a copy of Monster Hunter Freedom Unite through less than reputable means, just so I could play and experience it. And I said the thing that everyone says: "Oh, if I like it, I'll buy it." Everyone says that. So I played it for about 45 minutes, and it was too much for me. I couldn't handle the controls. I couldn't handle. It was mostly the controls, which I think is true for a lot of people. I couldn't handle the sort of unguided nature of the game, in that it just sort of thrusts you in, and good luck, have fun. There are tutorials; they're there, but you kind of have to seek them out, and and I know we'll get into that a little bit later on, talking about some of the ways that they've improved the series. So then I didn't touch it for years after that, and every time I saw it come up, I sort of dismissed it as a niche thing that I would never like. And come the summer of about it was 2015. It was summertime, and I was an avid Twitch watcher, and I still am. I even before Twitch, Justin TV, live stream, all of that. I love watching other people enjoy games and interacting in chat and stuff like that. So I thought, I sure would like to do that. It doesn't seem that hard. I don't consider myself the most personable person and the best public speaker, but I figured maybe it would help me to improve. So at the time, I did not have a very good PC. I had a very old laptop that could just barely. It couldn't run anything. If I'm being honest, I couldn't play any modern games, but I could run a PSP emulator. Because capturing actual video from my actual PSP was, I wouldn't have even known how to begin.
It's very
doing
difficult.
That. Yes. So nigh impossible. And so I set up a stream, and I started playing. It wasn't actually Monster Hunter. The first game I played was Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII, because I love Final Fantasy VII. Never played it. And as is the story with most new Twitch streamers, nobody watched. It was me streaming to myself. Occasionally, someone would come into the stream, tell me I sucked. They would leave, and that was the end of that. So a lot of people can relate to that. So then I was like, okay, well, this obviously isn't working. Let me play something else. And I thought, it's been a few years. Let me give this here Monster Hunter a try. So I did. I looked up. I think I just Googled what is the best first Monster Hunter game to play. What is the best game to start with? And Freedom Unite was the one that came up as sort of a very well thought of game, a very loved game by people who've played further on in the series. They look back, fondly on it. It's got a good difficulty cap, and and it was available, through means. So I started playing that. And then all of a sudden, people would show up and start watching, and people would chat with me as I was playing, and people started helping me. And I'll say holding my hand. People would hold my hand, but that's what I needed because it helped me to learn to appreciate the game and end up loving the game. And what really had it take off for me was so I had streamed I would say 2 or 3 nights of the game, and there were a lot of what I thought were really good moments from those first couple of nights. So what I ended up doing was I just went through the recordings of the streams. I picked out some moments of it was mostly moments of me just being ignorant of the game and its systems and just being bad at the game. Attacking with not red sharpness, with whatever the one that is before that. With literally the little jagged weapon icon with a broken weapon. Not knowing anything about stats, gears, circle swinging with a great sword, that sort of thing. Not knowing how to charge it. I picked it because it looked cool. So it was a lot of that. I was killed by an Enteca, I think was my first death. So I have that going for me. I may be the only one.
I'm sure there's others.
Yes, but they don't come out. They hide themselves in shame. You'll never see them. And and then I thought, well, okay, and I was actually pretty happy with the video that I had made, and well, I was also pretty avid Reddit reader, and so I figured I looked and I saw there was a Monster Hunter subreddit, and I figured, well, might as well post it here. So I posted a video. I don't remember the exact title. It was something like, hey, I played Monster Hunter for the first time. I was really bad at it. I made a short little video showing just how bad I am. And from that point on, it sort of, I don't want to say took off, because it has always stayed pretty small to medium sized. I didn't see any great, huge fame or success from it, but it got me regular viewership and a community of people that, now almost 3 years later, that I consider many, if not most of them, to be very good friends. And it's brought a lot of them together as well. So that's the big takeaway from everything for me, is giving all of these people, a place who, aside from Reddit, to really meet up and play together and enjoy the game, and sort of, 4 nights a week, go to this place, which happened to be my stream, and just for 2.5, 3 hours, laugh at me, but also do it together.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I would continue making videos from there. I would post them every couple of days, and it just sort of carried on like that until I just eventually sort of tried to get away from the videos a little bit, post them less frequently. I've noticed that as I actually got somewhat fairly competent at Monster Hunter, I sort of started kind of running out of content for the videos, because I realized that that's what everyone kind of watched for. Everyone likes to see, someone else have the struggles that they had and overcame, and see somebody improve. But then at a certain point, you're just watching another person play the game that at the same level that you play it. And so I do that a lot less now, but I still stream, and I still enjoy it, and I still love it, and I very thankful for the people who still choose to watch me.
So a little bit of kind of how I saw you. I saw that first post of the sub, because I'm on there a lot, and I have not been. I'm not a big Twitch watcher. I'm not. I said I've told many times on this podcast that I was going to start streaming. I haven't done that yet. I just haven't. I don't know. I had this. Hey, I'm not really good enough to stream kind of mentality, and also it would kind of just go by the wayside right now because it's so popular that no one would watch it anyways.
Right.
So it's so I've never really been big into streaming, so I haven't watched your streams, but I have watched a lot of your video content. And one thing that I thought was pretty cool that you have is you have a very dry sense of humor. That sort of appeals to what my wife and I like. So my wife and I have watched your videos together quite often. Even though she doesn't recognize your name, because I told her, like, hey, I'm going to have CsColley on the podcast. And she's like, who? And I'm like,
That's the appropriate response, by the way.
Yeah, it's been the cool reason why I wanted you on is it's really nice to see some different content come out from Monster Hunter, because I love Eric's and Gaijin. They're pretty cool people. We got to talk to Eric's on the podcast twice now, and by all means, he's a really cool guy. But he is very different. He's very news and let's help you oriented. he's reaching for a different audience, and there hadn't really been much of what I would consider like a Monster Hunter comedy audience, other than maybe the animated shorts that NCH Production does.
Right.
So to see like actual gameplay that's pseudo comedy, kind of reminds me of Kraken. If you guys have ever seen Kraken,
Yes.
Kraken's a little bit more crazy than you are, but so if anyone's listening, I definitely suggest you go check out CsColley's videos. It's a high recommend from me because it is some of the funniest, like, oh, so that happened now.
I wish I could be funny when I play Monster Hunter. It's just me being frustrated at this point. It's like, once you reach a certain skill level, you tend to think you know it all, and so when a monster starts wrecking you, you just get frustrated.
I should be better than this, and I'm not. What's wrong
absolutely.
With me? Oh, I've had plenty of moments like that. They just don't make it into the videos for obvious reasons.
I was gonna say there's certain monsters that I like to call the humblers of Monster Hunter. It's like, no, I totally should be able to kill this thing, no problem, hands down, and it just completely destroys you sometimes.
Yeah.
I like to call the Iodrome one of those.
The red like raptor looking thing.
Yeah, so the old school red raptor that spits poison.
Right.
Because Iodrome, you think of the drones, you're like, oh, they're the easy raptor bosses that, like they don't do anything. But Iodrome is in the volcanic region, which makes him immediately a higher tier monster. And people tend to forget that, myself included. So you can get like surprise carded because you're like, I've got 40% health, no big deal. And then he'll combo you and you die, and you're like, ugh. Yeah.
Or if you're like me and you fail to notice that you've been poisoned for the last 30 to 45 seconds, that'll do it.
That
too.
happens. Yeah.
Yep.
Or you could be like me and be like, I got this. I don't have to deal with poison. Just complete hubris.
Can't be poisoned if you're dead.
Well, I used to have such a problem with it. I would always make the pink Rathian armor.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was like, that was the first thing I did whenever I got to high rank. I was just like, you know what? I'm not dealing with being poisoned all the time.
It's kind of funny because in this new version of Monster Hunter World, the pink Rathian armor helps you poison more, not prevent being poisoned.
I can't think of my little reminder, shock back to reality monster.
In this
for
game,
World, for me, it was Kuliyaku.
Mine was the Diablos. I was absolutely fine until I hit Diablos.
Oh wow,
the low rank.
I don't know. I think that's an appropriate one. I wouldn't be too ashamed if Diablos just trashed me.
No, I forgot how hard he can hit. Which
oh yeah.
Oh, I have one that I realized. How far are we allowed to talk about the game?
We'll just say this now. All of us are into high rank at this point here on the podcast. So for spoiler reasons, if you're not into high rank, you might want to cover your ears or something. I always do.
Yeah, maybe don't spoil.
Put a warning.
Maybe don't spoil anything exclusive. Does that make sense? Like,
it was in a trailer. How about that? Does that work?
Yeah, if it's in a trailer, I consider that a free game.
Okay, Levizioth. I was so used to old Levizioth where he's just kind of lame and sat around and got hit and died, and now we have new Levizioth with fire everywhere and constantly raining it upon you when he's out of reach. And it's kind of like a reminder.
Don't tell me that. I just got to him.
It also doesn't help the fact that a blue, specifically a blue thing, showed up to attack me as I was trying to deal with Levizioth, so I kind of left that expedition.
Yeah. Those blue things. Oh my goodness.
This one hasn't shown up, so I'm trying to be nice.
Yeah.
But you'll see it.
So, Lavaseath, I want to say, has always been a hard monster for me.
Really?
I've never had a Lavaseath that I'm like, yeah, I got this. Like, I've always been like, no, I have to watch out because he was so difficult in Freedom Ultimate, and I didn't play him in Double Cross.
Yeah, the Piscean monsters tend to give me some trouble because I rarely fight them. Their armors look ugly and their weapons aren't great, so I never fight them. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his I'm going to flop like a fish randomly on the ground. It's going to hit everything around me in a 360 area and 20 feet around me. That was kind of annoying. So
I only ever got to fight him in Generations with a bowgun, so I was a little blessed on that front.
He much like his brother Plesioth has a tendency to sort of he has an aura around him that rather than projecting it with his hips like Plesioth does, it sort of sucks you in. So he'll do he would do like a shimmy all the way across the area, and he would sort of, if he hit a wall, he would sort of stick to that wall and then just ride it for a good 50 feet. And if you were anywhere, I mean, I'm sure most of you guys are aware of the old hitboxes. If you were, I'd say, within a good 6 or 7 feet from him, you were getting pulled into that, and you were getting taken for a ride. It was just an inevitability.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of people, they really don't like those hip checks from a lot of monsters. I've never had as much problem with them, and I guess it's because partially I'm a programmer, and I kind of understand how the hitboxes would have to work. Because, or sometimes that they are working, not that they have to work. Obviously, they don't have to work that way because they don't in Monster Hunter World. There are hip checks, but they are not egregiously bad. As far as what I'm getting at is I was standing on the other side of him and it still hit me. That thing.
Yeah.
And it's what it is the hitbox is basically where the monster originated. So you see him go in for the hip check and you go into where he was and then he hip checks and you're like, oh, okay, you were still in the hitbox technically, but yeah, visually you were not.
I definitely appreciate that they've tightened them up a lot. I mean, it seems to be, and I'm sure they're not perfect now, but it seems to be, if you see the monster touch you, it will hit you. If it did not look like it physically touched you, it probably won't hit you. And I know that technical limitations prevented that from being the case in the past. Like you're saying, you gotta work with what you have. But I'm so appreciative for that now. It's led to so many surprising moments where I literally set my controller down on the desk because I thought I was about to go flying. Had to pick it back up quickly because I'm still there and I'm still fighting. I didn't get hit, and it's amazing.
I've had so many controllers die from overplaying. It's kind of been like that. Like, like I'm standing there and I don't get hit, and I'm like, how did that happen? All right, turn the controller on, quick! Like, fighting with the controller for it to stay alive. Like, it keeps turning off, and I keep turning it back on, and I'm like scrambling for another controller while one of my kids is screaming at me to play Blippi. It's just chaos.
That reminds me of the 3DS as the battery's dying, and you're scrambling to find your charger and also not die in the fight.
I think that's much more of a dangerous situation, though, because you're going to lose that whole hunt versus, like, oh, I'm standing still for a second. Man. So I wanted to get into a bit of a thing about a hitbox that reminded me of. I was helping someone with Nergigante recently, and a lot of people played him in the beta and that kind of stuff, so I'm not really too worried about spoilers. But do you guys know that move that he does where he slashes the ground? So if you're standing on his back right leg, it's going to basically end there and hit you.
Yeah.
And then he follows up with the ground smash immediately.
Right, which can almost that can one shot me now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically a one shot combo. And the accepted strategy. Sorry if this is spoiling some stuff for you, CsColley, but did you play him in the beta?
No, I did not. But it's fine. Go right ahead.
Okay. The strategy of when he does that follow up is just not get up. Just don't. Yeah. Because you're in the invincibility frames of laying down. But if you force yourself up, you will get hit. So he did that move, and every single one of our party got hit by it. The initial slash. I was above him in the air doing the helm breaker for the longsword. I was on the way down, so I expended my charge level, but I got hit. I got basically clipped by the end of the claw as it comes up in the animation, so it knocked me down. Everyone else was sort of standing at the head and got hit. And so all four of us are laying down in front of him, and I was the only one that knew to stay laying down. And this is all people in chat, my friends, and that kind of stuff. And I was like, "Don't move, guys, don't move." And they didn't really understand what I meant by "don't move," so they all moved, and it was an immediate triple card. I do believe it was 2 minutes into the quest. So hey, we didn't waste a lot of time, at least.
Yeah, I guess simple mercies, you know.
Was there anybody who really inspired you, like any other YouTubers or Twitchers or Twitch streamers or anything like that, where you saw them and you're just kind of like, yeah, I kind of want to do that? Is there anybody who kind of kept you going on or helped to bring you further into Monster Hunter? Like anybody where you were going to give up and you saw something and you just kind of felt that drive to keep going?
There have been a few, although, so I don't know if you guys are aware. Do you know Kanta? I believe.
Yeah.
I assume most people do. I see his videos on the subreddit quite frequently and on YouTube. He's, I guess, what you'd call a speed hunter. So he, obviously speed runs monsters with certain combinations of weapons and makes the rest of us look bad. Well, he also streams on Twitch, and he's been, he's been very generous and given me some of his time in the past. He's actually played with me on, I think, at least 2 occasions. He's jumped in and played with us on, I believe it was Portable Third. And just watching him play, I try to absorb as much as I can, although 90% of it just kind of drips out my other ear. I do catch little nuggets of skill, and I like to try and cling to those and implement those. So he's a huge inspiration as far as actual skill. I don't think I'll ever get to that level, but it's nice to have that as a reference. Eric's, we were talking about Eric's earlier. His tutorial videos are immensely helpful. Especially, there's things I've been using, certain weapons I've been using for, dozens of hours. I think I have 50 hours logged in the game now. And there are certain combos and commands that I didn't know about until I watched his video. I didn't know they were there because I'm a bad monster hunter, and I didn't go into the training area where it would have given me this information, which I probably should have. But
and I didn't either.
that's why he's there, I guess. So he's taught me some things. I don't know him personally, but he's been very helpful. And people from the Reddit and people from Twitch and the people who I guess I consider part of our community have been very helpful. I mean, I've always got people willing to hunt with me, help me farm when I need it, give me tips and pointers. Someone very patiently tried to crash course me on Charge Blade the other day. I don't know if they realized how fruitless of an endeavor that was when they started, but they did it anyways, and that was very nice of them. So yeah, is like I was saying earlier, I don't think that I would have stuck with the franchise this long and been able to experience the things I have and appreciate it as much as I have without people like them sort of stringing me along and helping me. I would have given up. 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, it was my friends who got me into it, even though they abandoned me maybe 30 hours into the original game.
Yeah,
you're on your own now, baby bird.
The friends who got me into it then just didn't help me and refused to play.
So, Ariel, were you on your own when you got into it, or did you have friends?
No, like I said, we were on vacation. My cousin told me to get it, and so there were.
So you had 100 buddy.
Well, yeah. Well, there were 4 of us total.
Perfectly.
So we were all playing, and it got to the point where I quit one job and was going to start another, but the new one didn't start for 2 months, and that's when and For You had just come out, like it perfectly timed. So, I essentially played it for a month and a half, like a full-time job. I would just hop into people's like low rank people who needed help, or hiring people who like, just hop into servers and be like, hey, you need help, and I would just go there, as this G rank monster, like this G rank experience hunter, and I would just help people hunt things. But yeah, I've had a pretty consistent group of friends, thankfully.
Awesome. I have not until Monster Hunter World. Those original people who played with me in Monster Hunter 1 in 2004 that stopped in 2005, I had never played with them again until Monster Hunter World. So Monster Hunter World has been a big comeback for multiplayer for me.
Yeah.
It's insane. I don't hardly ever fight on my own now. I used to be an entire solo hunter the past 2 games. Like, I soloed everything. And now I just I'm playing with everyone all the time. I mean, Lobo and I have hunted quite a bit now together.
Yeah.
And same for me.
Nice.
So, yeah. So I mean, it's been completely different of an experience for me nowadays versus olden times. I was gonna say you were talking about Charge Blade a little bit there, CsColley. I used to be a fairly heavy Charge Blade main, and that was sort of my thing since 4 Ultimate. So 4 Ultimate and why am I blanking? Generations. They were the only weapons I played. In fact, I got made fun of for only playing Charge Blade.
That's me with Longsword.
I dropped it. Yeah, well, that's the thing. I'm doing Longsword now. I dropped Charge Blade like a bag of bricks after playing the demo. I was just like, it's not as fun anymore. So, but on that note, I've been grinding out arena quests because I'm trying to get the Platinum Trophy for the PlayStation 4, which I did get the 50th arena quest today.
Hey, good job.
Nice.
Good job.
I'm pointed. Sorry?
I was going to ask, how are you actually going about getting them? Like
the arena quest?
Yeah, finding groups for the arena quest. Or are you just doing it solo?
I'm doing it solo. Today I got some help from I'm trying to think. I'm just going to call him H. All right, so my good friend who is the bow gunner that I've mentioned a couple times now. He is just like, that's his thing now. He's our group bow gunner. He and I were doing. He's like, no, I'm not doing arenas. Arenas are stupid. And I'm like, well, I mean, if you do them together, it's quicker, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, I sort of convinced him to like, hey, let's build the arena weapons. So we hunted together on a few of them. He's like, I want to get that 50, and he just started. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to do another 50. But the what I was getting at is the Charge Blade that you have to pick a certain weapon in arena quests, and the quickest time for me that was still kind of an enjoyable fight was the Rathian for me. In the Rathian, I didn't get to pick Longsword, but I did get to pick Charge Blade. So I've got a lot more experience in doing the guard points and that kind of stuff. And I would say I'm actually a little better than I was at Charge Blade before now.
That's good.
That said, I'm still a Longsword main. There is nothing more satisfying than that counter, the Fade counter that you do with Longsword.
An Ariel helm
so
splitter.
Awesome. Yes, that too. That gets me in trouble a lot. I get hit a lot trying to pull that off.
Of course.
But when you do,
no, it's good. I think the reason why I like the counter more is you don't get to do it as often, right? It's a little bit harder to pull off. But if you counter and then immediately go back into it, so you counter and then you do the spirit combo, the spirit slash right after, and go up to the next level, I think that's the coolest thing. It's like I countered and then I hit him back with the spirit slash, and I'm back in business.
it's so easy to stay in red now. You have so many options and so many ways to move between combos and make it happen. And you can just...
I gave it a try finally, and it was super fun, but I overcommit all the time with Longsword, so I had to give it up.
Yeah, you get a little bit of trouble with the Longsword and the Greatsword too. A little bit of trouble.
Speaking of arena quest, the last one that you can do is a Diablos and a Black Diablos in the special arena, which is the smaller one.
Oof.
I picked a greatsword for that, which I am no longer. I have not been a greatsword main since Monster Hunter 1. So that's a thing. But yeah, that was intense. But it was super satisfying because they give you a blast greatsword.
Oh, nice.
So it's like, I'm going to do this level 3 charge and do a blast attack, and it's going to show me like a total of like 500 damage on this Diablo.
Yeah, it's intense. The damage numbers you see are very satisfying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of the things that we talk about, like just in general, like things that like nowadays that I was worried about. Is one of the ones was the damage numbers. I actually kind of like the damage numbers because now you still get the resistance and the bigger blood spurts on critical areas, but it's a little bit easier to say, oh, well, that was orange and not white. I should be hitting there.
Yeah.
I don't see any downside to them, and you can turn them off if you don't like them, so I think it's only a good thing.
My biggest thing is I was used to hit the Baroth's head always because I was like, oh, I want to break it. I want to keep hitting it so I can break it. And now whenever I go to hit it again, I see that one pop up. I'm like, oh, right, I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's weird. I love breaking parts. That's like one of my favorite things to do is like fully break a monster. I give zero craps about that Baroth Ridge because you can carve it so easily.
Yeah. But even as a gunner, it makes me just a better gunner of like, stop shooting the thing that's clearly not good to shoot at.
Right. I was reading, I forget where, but basically it said, it might have been Reddit, that if you turn your damage numbers off, it might actually help improve your times because you're less focused on crit hits and more focused on just getting hits on the monster.
Huh.
So I found it pretty interesting because it's like if you know where the crit hits are already and that's not like an issue that you have, then it might be like you might want to try it.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I already know where a lot of the crit hits, like, it's for stuff like Diablos, for sure. But, see, I have that mentality of I want to break things, and those typically, especially on Diablos, are not the places you want to be hitting.
Right.
Unless, so one thing I wanted to mention about Diablos, you mentioned that you've been having a lot of problems with him. I've been, like, just completely just tanking him. Like, I have no problems with him with the longsword. Because you can cut through his horns on blue sharpness now. Just blue. And it's even high rank. It's like, oh, okay. Well, that's a thing. So it actually ends up being a crit spot fairly quickly.
I ended up trying it with a lance, and it was one of the most fun things I've ever done. Yeah, because you just take the aggro every time.
Yeah. I still have not got the Challenger Mantle. Maybe I have, but I think it's an optional quest to get the Challenger Mantle.
Oh,
I have so many optional quests unfinished yet, and I'm missing so many neat things. Like my roommate has 2 slots in his tree of duplicating things, and I still only have 1, so I have to go find out which quest does that one.
Oh, I've got all 3. For the tree.
I still only have the one. I was wondering about that actually, if I was ever going to get another one.
Optionals. Do the optionals.
Yeah. I stocked the SOSs to get Tempered Elders, and now I have the Rocksteady Mantle. So that was the last thing I've gotten, I think.
Rocksteady Mantle, also known as the Speedrun Mantle.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah, so about the Rocksteady Mantle, they give you that for some of the weapons on that double Diablos arena quest.
Really?
And that was the first time I got to use it. That is dangerous. That is a dangerous mantle to use. Because like nothing knocks you down, right?
Right.
You take the biggest hit and you're like, I'm cool. It took away 99% of my health, but I'm cool.
Yeah,
that's
the danger. It's like, oh, no.
It's like, okay, that left me open for a follow-up attack because I was no stagger. There's no invincibility frames after confidence. That. Yeah. Gosh, die by 1,000 cuts and dismemberments. So I think that kind of transitions well into the bigger topic I kind of wanted to get into, which is quality of life improvements. So the reason why I think this is important to talk about with CsColley here is he decided on a whim to pick up probably one of the worst quality of life games in the history of Monster Hunter. That's not true. Monster Hunter 1 is the worst quality of life. So let me tell you what. But
I wouldn't know.
So I've heard.
Yeah, it's like, Freedom Unite, it's really cool. You got that question mark when you run up to a mining spot. We didn't have that. It's like, here's a funny crack. Can I press square with my pickaxe out? Will it work? No.
That sounds awful.
Oh, man. But yeah, so like, there's a big contrast of quality of life in almost every Monster Hunter. And it's why I'm a big advocate. I was a big advocate for Generations over 4 Ultimate, is the quality of life. There was so many, like the item sets, I think, is when Generation started that. It's like, I want to bring X amount of potions and X amount of this and X amount of this, and I don't have to keep restocking manually. I can just have an item set, it deposits everything and pulls everything out. I think that's where Generations started that. Before that, there was no such thing as equipment sets and that kind of thing.
Right.
And like Monster Hunter World, it's like quality of life improvements abounding.
Yeah, I agreed. I mean, Generations, they had the benefit of not, I guess, technically making a whole new game in terms of adding a bunch of new monsters. So they were able to just improve the quality of life, for the game to include little things that they thought could benefit the game. And it was kind of like maybe even like a test run for Monster Hunter World in terms of like what the community would like from this, because we're not adding new monsters, we're not adding new things.
They added new monsters. I mean, there was the Fated 4.
Oh yeah, I just figured it wasn't as, I guess, extensive.
Robust.
Yeah, robust, extensive as 3U and 4U. I didn't play either cross or whatever, but I felt that Generations was, since they decided to make it a little bit shorter than the last ones, that they were able to really be bold in their decisions regarding quality of life and stuff like that.
I've heard a lot of people
holding A to carve.
refer to it as Gen 4.5, which I think is pretty accurate.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Pathfinder is 3.75 of D&D.
No, that's one geek world I have yet to explore, D&D.
Yeah, funnily enough, the other sub that I'm a mod on is a D&D sub, so
nice.
the two are tied very, very closely for me.
My D&D knowledge is such that I can follow a conversation, but if I were to sit down and play a game, I would need someone there with me to help me.
Okay.
Hey, maybe one day.
Yeah, I mean, I've put multiple thousands of hours into both Monster Hunter and D&D, so. Yeah, I was gonna say, we talked about like, I was pretty impressive to put 350 hours in the recent games, Ariel, but my peak of hours, I'm gonna say, was Freedom Unite. I put in over 1,000 hours twice.
Oof.
Wow.
Because I imported it because I couldn't wait, so I actually have 2G, and then I got Freedom Unite.
That's impressive. I'll use the word impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I was in college, and I had a lot more free time then.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that quality of life is a huge thing that we're getting. Gathering is like, hey, I gathered all of the herb when I ran by in a split second,
and it became potions before it reached my pocket.
Right, the auto crafting is huge.
Mine is 30 points of ammo. That's huge for me.
I actually gather.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually gather now. I never used to do this. I never used to be like, okay, I'm going to go farm honey. And I would literally do like honey farming at the town and then craft megas and be like, if I ran out, I ran out.
This is the first game I've ever carried max potions in, because max potions are super easy to get now.
Yeah, they're so useful in the game, especially when you forget to eat or you need that quick healing in a really tough spot.
I call it "I died" insurance.
Yeah. Yep. Much needed when you get to the Elder Dragons and you get to high rank and stuff.
And that's also kind of why I'm excited about eventually getting Mushroom-mancer, because it turns out one of the mushrooms acts like a max potion now, and you can carry like 9 of them.
The Mandragora.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I almost made a Mushroom-mancer set for a. So here's the thing. I was just exclusively longsword. I've kind of branched out at this point, and I've made a bow set. I almost went Mushroom-mancer for the bow set that I did, but instead I just went 4 Legiana plus with a Diablo's Waste.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna try to make a mushroom / wide range set for my sword and shield. So just constant, like have the constant ability to keep healing my teammates while providing status or elemental damage.
My longsword set has wide range 3, just based on the skill gems, because I just like, that seems like a fun way to do things. It's kind of funny because like I'll drink a potion and it heals everybody like a ton, and people are like, "Did you just use a life powder?" I was like, "No,
Don't worry about it, man.
I just drank
I
a
got you.
potion."
Oh, I was saying, if you do that, do they slowly get their health back like a potion, or do they get it immediately like a life powder?
I think it's immediately. It's a bit of a question myself because I can't pay attention to what the animation of they're doing and their health at the same time.
That's true.
I have noticed that there is a bit of gaining, like over time, but I'm not sure if they were also drinking a potion because everyone got hit by Nergigante's dive bomb at the same time or something. It's hard to tell in the heat of the moment.
Right. So what are some discussions we can have about the game's quality of life and stuff like that?
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
I want to point out what I think is the most obvious one, and they showcased it, in the E3 trailer when the game was first announced, and that is the scout flies and all of the wonderful things that the scout flies do for us.
Yeah, no more, "Oh, my paintball ran out" just as these flew away.
That's the biggest thing for me is you're sitting there fighting something, and in your head you're trying to keep track of, should I repaintball it? How long ago did I paintball it? Should I put my weapon away now and paintball it in case it goes away? And then when it does, having to track the monster down again and just wasting valuable time doing that.
Right.
I'm so glad to be done with that.
I mean, another point is it a Blinganga? Oh, please, Ethan.
Not going that way.
Jeez. Yeah, I agree. The scout flies, that was another thing I was like, I'm not really sure about when we saw the first stuff, because I was like, why can't you just track the monster? Well, I mean, this helps you track the monster pretty well.
Yeah, for sure.
It is also, it's sort of visually shortcuts what we naturally do shortcut. So like everyone eventually ends up learning spawn locations for monsters. I mean, the Great Jagras, it's pretty easy to tell where he spawns pretty early in the game, and or at least one of the places he does, because it was this exact same place in the beta every time.
He meets you at the mouth of that cave every time.
Yeah, and it's like, it's just a shortcut. And like when you know enough about Great Jagras, which, funny story, the research nodes for Great Jagras, it was one of my lowest ones for a long time because I fought so little of them. I'm like, I'm done with him. I'm moving on.
Yeah.
So he was one of my least researched monsters up until recently. He it's just like, okay, he spawns here, and the scout flies are just like, yeah, I know that too. Cool. We got it.
Right.
Another thing about the scout flies is not just the monsters, but like you were saying, the gathering points, because in the old games it was so low resolution and such low detail. It was actually easier to pick out a gathering point. It stuck out. Whereas now the world is so detailed and there's just so much going on. If I didn't have the scout flies directing me sometimes to like a little clump of mushrooms, in some bushes, or or whatever, I would miss it more often than not. So I'm glad they're there to sort of,
Yeah.
that single bug will shoot out and go off to the side, and it'll even tell you when something's close by. So, say, hey, there's a mining spot within 10 feet of you. And so you look around and there it is. So I like that a lot.
So one thing about the same kind of deal is like the monster parts that drop, like the bombs, the slinger ammo, just the general monster parts. They're really helpful for finding those because those are also so small.
Yeah.
So in my recent quest for getting, what is it, million zenny, which is very hard to do. I've started using the bandit mantle, which causes account items to drop when you're hitting the monsters. So you can just sell those things, and they're like really good. Like the best ones are like 5,000 a piece.
You mean the Monster
Yeah.
Energy mantle, don't you? Look at it next. Look at it next time. It has the Monster Energy logo on it. That's what we call it.
I never noticed that. It's just like super neon green for some reason. it's the booger cloak is what we called it. But I put that on, and it's really helpful to find like the 8 things that drop when we all beat up on a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it's pretty nice to come out of a quest where like before it was like a lot of zenny, there's a lot of zenny problems in this game because things are so expensive and hard to keep money. It's like you come out of a quest and you sell everything. I was like, yeah, I'm like 50,000 up. That's amazing.
I can make a weapon.
Yeah. That's the sad part. Yes, I can make a weapon. Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Yeah, we've been...
I'm actually getting to the part where I have to start selling my monster parts again.
Yeah, I'm getting there. It's tough.
I put a limit. If it's above 100, I sell it off now.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I do 30. I can't imagine needing more than 30 of anything.
I just have whatever I have.
I'm just worried because the crafting system is so much more interweaved between monsters now. It's
Right.
so weird. It's just like, okay, yeah, I guess I need to farm Legion normal now because I didn't grab enough of his claws. Like, wow.
It's nice to go
Yeah.
back and bully
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
low rank monster every once in a while. I think the game's just trying to remind you
True.
of that.
I hop in SOSs just because, sometimes, the low rank, the little people need help. So I'll hop in there and help them out with those, Legiana, like the dual ones or, Legiana, Odegarin, or Anjanath or something like that. Whenever I need a low rank item, I'll always see if there's an SOS available.
I will say that in itself is a quality of life improvement for finding quests that you want to do.
Yeah,
You know what I
for
mean?
sure.
I mean, it used to be, oh, okay, I'm going to create a game room. I'm going to name it this. Hopefully people come in and help me with it.
Hopefully people don't post their own stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been a problem since the original Monster Hunter. It's like, it's partially the reason why I love Diablos is because I never got to fight him so much, and I wanted to play him so bad. No one wanted to do Four Horns with me, so I spent weeks standing there in the gathering hall, like doing nothing because no one wanted to help me with my urgent.
That's
To
tough.
be fair, you've done 4 horns, so you know why nobody would want to do 4 horns.
Absolutely.
It just made me love it more, though.
Ugh.
It was just like I finally got to do it, and then when I did it, I helped everybody who needed to do it, and thus my love for Diablos blossomed. So, anything else as far as quality of life that you guys can think of?
The infinite whetstone is incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Amen.
That's just one of the very small things that I was just so impressed with.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, like how often do you get rid of a whetstone?
Every time you
in real
sharpen,
life?
you throw it away.
Apparently, they're like nothing, I guess, in this world.
I
No,
have,
if only we. Go ahead.
I have a couple quality of life things as well. But I'll wait till after we're done here.
One thing I want to mention, a lot of people have been sort of like, I've seen people outright say they hate this, but I love it, is the radio wheel. Holy cow!
Oh, it's way better than using the
Yeah,
the
the
original
bar.
Yeah, the bar.
Yeah,
I know that I should be using it,
it's
but I don't, and I need to.
it's a bit wonky sometimes because if you're not precise on your left and right and up and down, sometimes you're like, oh crap, I drank an antidote when I didn't need an antidote, and I was trying to set down a trap, or or something like that. So, I mentioned before I have a quest so I am trying to get the platinum trophy, and one of those things is you have to get 50 guild cards.
Yeah.
And people do not like sending their guild cards for some reason. Don't know why. It takes just a couple seconds. It is buried through 3 menu clicks.
Yeah, it's not. There's not a fast way to do it.
Right. So what I have started doing, and this is funny. I don't know if you guys know, but you can tie shout-outs to gestures.
Really?
Yeah. So if you go edit your gestures and turn them on and off or whatever, you can actually go in and assign a specific shout-out to a gesture. So what I started doing is I would immediately, once everyone's in the quest, especially when I SOS'd or me just joining an SOS or joining anything like that, I would immediately send out my guild card, and then I have the communications radial, which is L and left on the D-pad. My communication to the top right is send guild card, please.
Oh, nice.
And then the other one is bombs. We're setting bombs so that people don't wake up the monster. So I always carry large barrel bomb plus, just because I can. And one of the things I started doing, just out of my own amusement, is instead of just having the shout out, I've tied it to a gesture. So the send guild cards, please, is the prance gesture. So I'm prancing around like, give me your guild card.
Nice.
And then the other one for bombs is the ninja star, which is counterintuitive because a lot of times it wakes up the monster.
Yeah,
it does
I was gonna say.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to start using the ninja stars to set off my bombs.
Don't do it. They go over the bombs.
You got to do
Really?
sumo.
Oh.
They go.
Aw.
You got to do sumo and
Nice
slap
pro
the
tip
bomb.
there.
Sumo. I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, I'm gonna have to change that gesture because it's got me in trouble.
It really
A lot.
bothers me though when I'm a greatsword and like they set up the bombs and they don't let me like hit the monster with my charged up attack. Like they'll just hit the bombs. I'm like, no, we could do so much more if you just let me do this.
Yeah, it's a bit weird because a lot of people don't understand how these systems work that well. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's still a lot of nuance to the game that isn't there. So like people don't realize that a bomb does true damage, right? It's going to go through any armor. And B, that the bomb needs to hit first, right?
Right.
But with a greatsword, it's a step further on that logic because yes, the greatsword is going to strike the bomb and then hit with a full power charge on the monster.
Right.
So your little peck of a rock on the bomb is actually inferior to the greatsword hitting it. That kind of thing.
Right.
One thing that I had to stop H from doing, as I mentioned, my friend that does the bowgun stuff, is he would crag shot the monster on the head and let the resulting explosions blow up the bombs to begin with.
Ugh.
And I kept telling him, don't do that because you're wasting the double damage on your crag shot.
Right. Right.
Which does have resistances applied, especially if you're shooting it in the horns.
Yeah.
I saw a new one today, actually. When the monster was sleeping, these guys ran up and started throwing down poison bombs. You know, the little proofs of poison on the monster?
Yeah.
I don't know if it actually successfully poisoned the monster, but it didn't wake it up. So that's kind of a fun thing I just found out today. So I'm going to test that.
I'm still amazed at how good poison is in this game.
Yes.
Yeah.
So awesome.
If the monster has a 3-star poison, it doesn't really stand a chance. Especially when you have that Wrath Hard armor.
Yeah. Which I did for a certain I won't spoil monster, and it went by very smoothly.
Nice, nice.
But yeah, poison is a thing again. So much so that when I got, so I've been doing a lot of tempered monsters, which I don't think that's super spoilery. It's just basically the end game mechanic,
Right.
and they give you the skill gems to go in the slots. And I got a poison damage up gem,
Oh,
or
nice.
poison proficiency up,
Nice.
and we were trying to figure out like what does it do exactly, because it says plus 10 for every tier, and sure enough, it's like poison, instead of doing 10 a tick, is doing 20 a tick, and then 30 a tick.
Oh, wow.
And it's like,
It's insane. Yeah.
whoa.
Wait, does each tier add another 10? I thought it was just 10 regardless of what tier it was.
That's what the debate was, and I think we settled it on it does increase to 10 each time, because else it would just say 10 on the first tier, because it would never increase again if that was the case, but none of us had got to that second tier. My belief is that it stacks.
I'm gonna have to
The
try
opposing-
this somehow.
Yeah, well, good luck getting the gem. It's not easy. But the counter belief is that it doesn't stack. It's just showing you. But I mean, everything that, I mean, if it's a static, just like, hey, this. I mean, if you look at the attack gems, they're plus 3, plus 10, plus 15. They don't say plus 10 down the board.
Right.
And I was like, maybe it is just plus 10 down the board, but then why would you say it on 2 and 3?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe it doesn't stack it, but even just doing 20 damage per tick is really good.
Yeah.
Radio wheels, the crazy thing is it's tied into your item loadout, if you don't know that.
Yeah.
So if you change something on your radio wheel, you kind of have to go into every item loadout and redo it. Or vice versa. It's like, equip this item loadout, change my radio wheel, save. Equip this item loadout, change my radio wheel, save.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying.
It is annoying. I've really just kind of stuck my radio wheel to the items that are always with me. Dunk pods, flash bombs, and then the potions.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'll do to sort of ease myself into using it.
Right.
That's the only thing I haven't done is set up like constant item sets and actually customizing the radio wheels and even the order of the item bar.
Yeah, I've customized my radio wheel pretty heavily, but I don't have it different per item set. I don't see why it ties to that specifically. I think that's a backwards on quality of life, but whatever. I think they should be independent. I don't really. I mean, I kind of get it because you could have items in your other item sets that you don't use on your radio wheel and that kind of thing. But I mean, so my different item sets are my standard, which has, I always carry trapping things with me now. So 2 traps, both the shock and the pitfall tranks, max potion, ancient potion, like everything healing wise, and then crap, I'm blanking. The charms, the power talons, and that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, you always got to keep those.
Yeah, and then my other set is like everything but add in files for bows. So I have a bow set. And then my third set is Elder Dragons, which can't be affected by traps. So I take out all the traps and I have extra flash buds and that kind of stuff. So
Right.
I think it's useful for situational stuff. But it messes me up when I forget that I changed something in my radio wheel. For instance, you can also tie your equipment, like your cloaks and your whatever sprays or whatever, anything
Your
like
booster,
equipment wise. Yeah, you can tie those to the radio wheel also, and I recently just figured that out. And so I started doing that, and then I forgot, and then I equipped a different item set, and I didn't have it, and then I was trying to scroll through to get my health booster. It's just, yeah.
So I found a new one as well,
Uh-huh.
you can also bind, apparently, combines to the radio wheel.
Yes.
I just found out because I was in a thread where they were talking about bowgunning and stuff. And as I was watching some of the kind of speedrun stuff, he was just using the radio wheel to make more piercing 3 ammo. And I'm like, that is so much easier than having to open up a menu kind of in hope that you don't get hit while you're trying to combine really quickly.
Yeah, that's a very stressful situation.
So I'm going to definitely see how to set that up, because being able to do that on the fly would be amazing.
Now, there is a half movement for it to do it automatically. So if you have, like, let's say I have my top left on my default wheel is the First Aid Med Plus. And if I have honey in my inventory and it didn't auto combine for some reason or whatever, I know there's situations where it doesn't auto combine because you're full on something.
Yeah.
If you use all of that item and you try to use it, but you have the combined materials, it will combine one automatically.
I've had that happen with my mega potions, but I haven't had it happen with anything else.
Yeah. So if you have like an item that can be combined, it'll auto combine it one time per attempted usage, which isn't super helpful, but it's better than nope, can't do it, even though you have the stuff.
Alright, I'll have to see how people were setting up with their ammunition then, because I knew he was combining it really fast. At least I could hear the combined sound effect.
Oh no, you can tie the action of combining an item.
Oh,
separately.
okay, so it's actually different. Alright.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat.
Yep. Yeah, the full combine list is on that radio wheel option. It's just one of the tabs when you're assigning radio wheels, including gestures, which could be tied to shoutouts.
Oh yeah.
I'm so disappointed that you can't use Ninja Star to blow up barrels now. But
I'm sure you can. It's just not. I don't know.
Efficient or guaranteed.
Yeah, it's
perhaps?
hard to aim. It's like aiming the bowgun without aiming.
yeah.
Which, by the way, I do that with close range a lot. I've used close range like a shotgun with the bow. I just use circle. Dodge, circle, dodge, circle.
I like that after you dodge, it auto aims back towards your target. I think that's awesome. And I didn't even know that until like last week when we talked about it.
Yeah, a certain blue monster makes me do that. Okay, so was there anything else for quality of life? Lobo, you mentioned you had some things at the end.
Just the amount of things that went from being kind of like useless and frowned upon to being allowed to be used now. Biggest one is the shield on bowguns. I gave it a try finally, and holy cow, I used it in a Nair Gigante fight. The first one I've done since the storyline one, and it worked so well. Like it every single attack he did against me just tinked off me just for nothing. And I only had, I think, 2 shield upgrades on that particular gun, too. So, and that's without guard or anything like that. So I'm interested in seeing how crazy it gets with guard, with, shield ups and all that, things like that. And,
sorry.
Oh,
go ahead.
It's just nice being able to know, like, oh, I'm not going to instantly die because I have a bowgun.
One of the bowguns loadouts in the beta had the shield on it. I don't know how far upgraded it was, but it would block Nair Gigante.
I gotta try the bow more. I have one, I just haven't really explored it.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of get stuck in a weapon. I mean, it's easier in this one, I feel, to not get stuck in a weapon, but I don't know, there's a sense of loyalty sometimes to a weapon.
For sure.
I have to admit, I've actually never used bow. In 4 gens, I've never used it, and at this point, I think it's just because I'm stubborn. But now that you can
Yeah,
play with
I
a
mean-
controller, and they seem to have improved the controls and the handling of the weapons a lot, I think I might give it a shot because it actually kind of looks fun this time.
Yeah, I agree. It ended up being a lot more user friendly than in
Sure.
previous games.
And speaking of auto combine, that really helps out the bow guns and just the gathering in general and all that stuff. Because there's a whole nother layer of keeping ammo for bows and bow guns.
Oh, I do have
That
one
is
last
just-
one about bowguns, by the way.
Yeah.
Previously, the level 3 ammunition was always
Mhm.
kind of... You didn't really use it because it was very situational. Like,
Mhm.
Pierce guns used Pierce 2, and very rarely used Pierce 3 because Pierce 3 went so long. Because previously, like, Pierces only did, like, 3 hits, or 5 hits, or I don't remember how many Pierce 3 did because I never played it. And now, piercing does as far as it can go through a monster, and it just gets bigger numbers. And then for Pierce 3, instead of it just going super far and only, you can only use it on the longest of monsters, now it just hits more often as it goes through a monster. So it's just a strictly better bullet than Pierce 2. So it actually feels like an upgrade when you finally get a gun that can fire Pierce 3.
I was going to say the biggest drawback to Pierce 3 and that kind of stuff is the kick.
Oh yeah,
There's a huge kick to using that one.
for some guns. I actually have one now where I can fire Pierce 3 as fast as I can fire like Pierce 1. It's the Lagiana heavy bowgun. It's nice.
You sure like that monster.
Yes. And then also the what's it called? Normal 3 used to be kind of not as great as Normal 2 because Normal 2 just did damage, and Normal 3 did damage and then also kind of ricocheted off if you hit a monster at the right angle. And Saturn was aligned with Venus, and God liked you that day. But
Gog.
God, you liked you that day. But now, Normal 3 is just a really big bullet that does really big boy numbers. And so it feels good. You can actually use it. And we don't really... It didn't really change that much, but formerly pellet shot, now spread shot, you can use without killing your fellow hunters. And that is, I think, the biggest quality of life, is that we actually are allowed to use our third ammunition now.
Yeah, that used to suck when my friends would use a spread shot or something, and I would just constantly be interrupted. And as a greatsword user, or towards the tail end of the previous games, it was just not cool being shot out of my my charges.
But yeah, now it doesn't punch through a monster infinitely, so you can actually walk up and shoot a monster in the face, and you'll actually do decent damage and not have to worry about kicking out around your allies as well. So it's nice.
Yeah. I would say that another quality of life that has been in the game for a while, such as armor sets and that kind of thing, is kind of hidden. If you guys notice that, like, it's not like a menu option on the box anymore. Like, even Double Cross had that. It was like, here's the menu option to look at your sets and customize your item sets. Now you have to press options and then triangle to assign X to use, which I've already mixed that up twice and had to rebuild my equipment sets. Which I'm not sure if that blows out your skill gems or not, which that's a pain because now you have a separate inventory to switch out skill gems.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, it's weird because it's still a very important quality of life, but that one's just hidden now. A lot of people were actually convinced on the sub that it was just gone.
Right.
I was like, no, I've been using them. It's just not very apparent of where they are now. And I don't know if that's to reduce menu items, but if that was the case, then you wouldn't have like 10 menu items when you go to the blacksmith either. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the logic behind that one. It's kind of weird. We talk about like, hey, this is great, this is not, this is great, this is not. But hey, real opinions on a game.
Yeah, in my mind, it's things have we have more nicer things than things that are frustrating.
Yes,
It's
totally.
still Monster Hunter. It's just a more gooder one.
Mm-hmm.
More gooder, yes. Most of my stuff is just ranting about Bowgun more. Like Bowgun's got so much fixes. It's just every time I play it, I just feel happy again.
Yeah, I think that's just a function of a full controller with 2 analogs. They were really able to explore that and many other quality of life aspects. So the bigger screen, stuff like that. It's a lot of benefits coming from putting this on console.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, now I'll cut this out if we're not going to use it. But we have, I don't know, I like to try to make it an hour and a half usually, so we have a little bit of time to work with. So what we used to do, and we've gotten mixed feedback on it before, but I'll leave it up to you two, Ariel and CsColley, whether you want to do this or not, is we used to always ask new people, which monster would you like to date?
Oh boy.
So if you guys are open to answering that question, because some people that's enough of a weird concept for them, they don't like that. But it's totally meant to be just like a lighthearted, get to know you kind of question. So how do you guys feel answering that?
I wouldn't even know what to say.
For me, it's which monster wouldn't you want to date? They all have their redeeming qualities.
Are you sure about that?
Rathian would make a wonderful mother to your children. She's very protective of her eggs.
Oh, okay.
I'm interested to know what the redeeming quality of a Kezu is now.
That's the tough one. If you ask me what monster wouldn't I want to date, it's 100%
he's
the Kezu.
smooth.
Yeah.
I hate that thing. That and the Gigamax. I can't even tell the difference between the two of them.
CsColley wins. CsColley wins for kazoo reasoning. Holy
and that's
cow.
about all I can get into
Oh,
and still keep
man.
this PG, so I'll cut it off there.
Oh man. I don't know, man. That's I was gonna say everyone would leave you the hell alone. Like, oh, he's with that guy? I ain't going there.
Oops. See, I'm trying to think of the new monsters, which one I would go for.
Maybe a Paolumu. It's very soft. You know,
Yes.
it's got that nice puffy hair to them. So that's an option.
That thing turns on you on a dime, though.
Yeah, probably a very moody monster. You know.
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but it reminds me of the little red dudes in Kirby. They're all nice and happy, and then you touch them and they turn into these fanged beasts. It's like, that's what that is.
You know
It's a Palumu.
I know now. Rockbird. Because they're the first super friendly monster. They're always just kind of chilling. They don't really have a problem with you unless you start stuff with them. And while they may look awkward, they just seem like they'd be fun to be around.
Who's
That's a decent answer. Yeah.
You have to forgive me. Who's
a weird
Spiky
question.
Uragon? Is it Radabon? Is that his name? Radabon,
Yeah, Radabon.
is a total bro because he never bothers you. He just rolls around, does his thing, collects bones until you mess with him, obviously. The only thing is there's the whole you can't touch him because he is Spike's thing. That would be the only drawback. But just as like a...
Puts a damper on that
but as like a
relationship.
long distance thing.
He has run over me
But see,
so
that's
many
your
times.
fault. You know where he likes to roll.
Get out of the way, Lobo. Jeez. Oh, man. I don't know. I would say if we had to pick from the new roster, I'd say Toby.
Lightning Squirrel.
Okay.
'Cause-
Yeah. The lightning squirrel, snake thingy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's, to me, like, so my original answer was Ignactor, because it's just like, he's like the hottest person in the room. You know what I mean? He's got the cool moves. Well, just like he has that confident swagger and that kind of thing. I kind of feel like that's the same way with Tobi Kadachi. It's very like it's like that's what's kind of attractive to a lot of people is like confidence. And even though Tobi is not a big player in the Ancient Forest. I mean, we can admit that, right?
Right.
But he still will throw down with Anjanath. He'll lose, but he at least puts a surprise in there for him. So,
I guess, yeah, I can see that. This is a weird question.
Dude. So we used to do community questions, and then we stopped getting them because people kind of ran out of things to ask, I guess, a while ago. But this was one of the more favorite questions that kept coming up. But we asked it so often, and it was like we just stopped getting so many new guests for a while. It kind of fell by the wayside. But I figured it'd be fun, something to do.
It's not a question that I'm a stranger to, believe it or not. It has come up on more than one occasion in my chat.
Yeah. Oh. There is this subset of the community that is into the let's just say shipping.
There's
monsters.
That rule. Everyone knows that one rule. You know the one I'm talking about.
Rule. Yeah.
Oh, Rule 34U. Oh, jeez. Lobo knows about this. As a moderator, we actually got approached by that sub, Monster Hunter 34U, to do a cross promotion, and all of us were like, "No."
I would have said absolutely yes.
No, we are not cross promoting
I didn't actually
a pornographic
know that was a
site.
sub, but thank you for bringing it to my attention.
Hello.
So I can avoid it. So
yeah, it was.
Oh yes, for science. Avoid it for science.
And if you really want to know, there is a second one. I don't remember the name.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, there's two of them.
Hello, hunters.
Monster Hunter Anthro, maybe? I don't know.
Do you want to hunt more dangerous game?
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah, there's tons of stuff out there for Monster Hunter. Let's just say
aficionados.
Sure.
Extracurriculars.
So one of the things that I did when I first started streaming, this was still playing Freedom Unite. The first time that I encountered what was it? Chameleos. This actually has nothing to do with Chameleos, but this is just the night it happened to take place. I somehow, I don't remember if it was my idea or someone else's idea, but I overlaid a PDF of, I wanted to say Grey's Anatomy, that's not it, 50 Shades of Grey on the stream. I found what I was told, I haven't read it, well I have now, the juiciest bits, the juiciest chapter. I overlaid it on the stream, and as I tried to fight Chameleos, monster you cannot see a majority of the time, I was reading, so sort of scanning words with one eye, watching the game with the other, the juiciest bits of 50 Shades of Grey, and that created, that sort of set a tone in the early days for what was considered appropriate and what wasn't in my stream, and that has stuck with me. I'm looking for it now, and I will show you guys after we're done here. There is art. There is art that may or may not not involve myself.
Man, my curiosity is going to get me on this one. I know.
Viewer base. Let me just say that.
Jeez.
Hey, you got to cater to the fans.
Yeah.
One guy used to write fan fiction about me, and
sometimes.
Oh my god, I have to. It's in my Reddit DMs. I know it is because it has to still be in there. It was something about. Oh my god, this is going to be cut out. Yeah, we're not putting this.
Yeah. If you want it to be cut out, we can definitely cut it out. I was going to keep some of it in there. I think I'm going to keep most of it in there, but not if you want something cut out. Don't be afraid to say like don't.
I will just
don't say this.
I will be selective. It was fan fiction. I'm just going to say that it was like a 2 or 3 part fan fiction and yes, starring myself.
So
Yes.
written fan fiction.
We've also read some other people's fan fiction on stream while I was playing, and there's some stuff out there. I almost said good stuff, and that is not the word. That is not the word at all. It is not good. It is unholy and it is wrong, but it's there. It's very
creative stuff.
Yes. Somebody put an amount of effort into crafting it. Yes.
There was something you wanted me to tell you about, Fortuan, is when I finally did look at the map for the Rotten Vale and see what makes up the Rotten Vale. Oh my god! I am just as you know, Dalmador is my favorite monster. In the entire series. And seeing that makes me extremely happy because it puts hope in my heart of my dream encounter.
Very nice.
Probably should have phrased that differently after last conversation, but
no. Tell me more about your dream encounter.
No, my dream quest is that they'll send you out because of some deep rumblings that are happening in the ancient forest, or across any of the maps. In fact, all the maps would be cool. And as you head out there, you start gathering materials, and the screen does start shaking, like occasional tremor effects. And then, as you're fighting, you see around the outside of the map coils moving, as the map slowly becomes wrapped up by a giant Dalmador that's crushing the outside of the map. And kind of like how it used to destroy like the map you fought it on, it would slowly destroy part of the map as you're fighting it. So you'd be restricted to smaller and smaller areas as you're trying to take down this giant, crazy Elder Dragon.
I'm already moist.
Yeah.
Especially since they've already said that, Elder Dragons are coming to this area because we have the Elder Crossing. Right. We have a reason for him to show up randomly. So I think
I was going to say
amazing.
This is the kind of fan fiction I can get into for sure. If we get it. That's it's pretty cool.
I'm just not sure what map he'd show up best on.
Yeah. I wonder, so this is the first Monster Hunter we've seen balance changes.
Yeah,
like
because they're easily released now. Instead of having to do crazy updates across DSs.
Yes.
Well, that was possible on 3U with the Wii U version, but that people tend to forget for some reason that it was on the Wii U, and they just talk about the 3DS version of that game. But I can understand why they didn't do it for the Wii U, because it had to parody the 3U version. So, again, it was hindered by that, but the 3DS version, sorry. Yeah, it's like, oh, we're finally getting a console Monster Hunter. It's like, we had the Wii and the Wii U. Those are consoles.
Yeah, but I think those were ports and not full games. So
Tri wasn't. Tri was Wii U through and through.
Was it?
Wii through and through.
Oh.
Yeah, there was no portable Tri.
I still think Tri was a demo or a beta, but that's just me.
It only had 18 large monsters. It's fine. I still put in 1,500 hours.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Oof. There is only one thing that I do wish would have stayed from Tri, and that's just because I just want to play with it, is the medium bow guns, where you had to assemble your own.
No, you don't.
Why?
You don't.
They sound awesome.
Take all the disadvantages of the light and the heavy and put them together, and that's what a medium is. You're not fast, and you don't hit hard.
Oh,
that's really it.
I did have something to point out. We had talked about Turf Wars a while back, and we mentioned that clearly, there's always a clear winner. I found one where there's not always a guaranteed winner.
Mm-hmm.
Toby versus Anjanath.
Really?
Yeah. So half the time, Toby will jump up on the Anjanath's face, electrify himself, and start biting the crap out of his face. And eventually just jump off. The other half of the time, Anjanath will grab Toby and flail him around like a ragdoll.
I've only seen the second one. I've never seen him pounce on the Angie.
Yeah, he like gets on Anjanath's face. It was awesome.
Now, is that dictated by like what area they're in, or maybe how much health each of them has, or what determines that? I wonder.
I haven't found out yet. I do know when he jumped on the face, it was near Toby's little tree area. You know, the little nesting area where you can do the tree bouncing stuff.
Yeah. Huh. I'll have to look out for that.
So
I just say,
I don't know what could cause it, but it's cool.
One thing I like is there's a turf war between Diablos and Black Diablos, and that's not a clear winner.
Yeah, they lock horns.
Yeah, they lock horns, just like in the original Ecology, which just, oh man, that brought some heart fluttering back for me. It was like, do you actually get to see them fight now? But yeah, it was. I kind of wish there was more. That's the only thing is, like, I wish there was more variety of them, and I wish that there was more, like, in general, because there's certain monsters that just don't have them. They just don't. Now, I will say, the one that, like, I was like, oh my gosh, that is the coolest thing ever, and I have no qualms if there's nothing different for these two. It was the Nergigante versus Kushala. I don't know if you guys have seen that. I won't spoil it, but
I'll keep
it's
an eye
amazing.
out for it. I haven't seen it.
I did see, it wasn't an official turf war, but Levizioth versus a certain blue thing.
The blue thing.
They just kept chucking fireballs at each other. Like, it never registered a war, and they never really were acknowledging me. But I sat there for 3 minutes just watching them go back and forth. One would hit each other with a fireball. He would flinch. He'd look back, chuck it back the other way. And they just kept kind of hitting each other in the face with the fireballs. Eventually, the blue one left.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, okay, I'm glad I got to witness that. I just don't know why you guys hate each other so much.
Yeah. My hopes and dreams for a non-violent turf war or something between Rathian and Rathalos were pretty much
Wait, now
dashed
what
at
exactly
this
do you
point.
mean non-violent?
They're like, oh, hey, maybe we could be friends, or even, like, maybe do, like, a mating dance. Not actually mate, but, like, pair up. You know what I mean? Like, they are male and female within the species, so maybe sometimes they're, like, not very territorial with each other. But then, no, they just fight without a turf war every time. It's just...
I do like the whole, if you touch one, the other one shows up immediately if they're in the same map. Just... It's worse than it was before. Now it's just like, hey, what up? I'm here.
Oh, you know what's really bad?
What's that?
And I'll tell you this, is when you're... so there's an optional in the... why am I blanking? Ancient Forest, where you're trying to fight a blue, and I'm pretty sure that the other monsters are randomized in optionals. I'm not positive about that, but I'm pretty sure they are. Well, in this instance, the three large monsters were... I mean, it was every... So in this case, it was Blue, Willows, and Ian in the same map. And it was, like, insane.
Oof.
Yeah.
I did see a video of somebody who was in the whole Diablos, Black Diablos, and Baroth all in the same room. And man,
that's when you turn off the game and you go do something else.
or you pull up a barbecue spit and let the chaos ensue.
Who was the final boss of Portable Third? I'm drawing a blank. It was a big dragon fella. Yeah. You fight him in a volcano. We, rather than fight him, decided to have a cook-off. And it was who could cook 10 well-done steaks the fastest without dying. Naked, of course.
Well, Amatsuki
so I don't know,
is the big one that I remember. The floating paper dragon, as I call him.
This was after that. He may even have been DLC.
Could that have been
I wish I
Dire
could remember the
Morales?
name. Possibly.
Because that was 3
Possibly.
Ultimate's final boss. He was submerged in water on a volcano map.
Was Fatalis in that one?
It may have been Fatalis. If you fight him in a volcano in 3rd gen, then yes.
Crimson? I
Yeah,
think
Crimson
he was
is
on
in the volcanic area.
Yeah. So I was wondering if you guys had ever, sometimes when you get bored of Monster Hunter proper, if you've ever created your own sort of games or mini games to keep yourselves entertained, something like that.
Oh, there's the post carves fight that my brother and I always do. Who can launch each other? The knockdown.
Oh, I thought
game.
everyone did that.
Yeah, I mean that's about it for me.
I tried to do the take a rusted weapon and beat a monster to death with it.
I have
pretty
done
hard.
that, and it spawned a meme that I have not been able to live down until this day. I tried to kill I believe it was a Rathian with whatever the base level like starter greatsword was, and it spawned the 50-minute Rathian meme because it took me 48 and a half minutes to kill it. And apparently 48 and a half rounds up to 50 because every time a Rathian appears on my screen, 50-minute Rathian. Is this going to be a 50-minute Rathian? Uh-oh, incoming 50-minute Rathian. Everyone watching the time. Every time I cart, oh, here we go, boys. I regret doing that, but it was fun. If I recall, it was fun for me.
Jeez.
That was just a quick one I did want to tell you about. Something I'm trying to pull on people, but people keep saying no. I have a really fun investigation that your friends refused to fight with me, and I think you even said no to. It's a high rank Lagiana, an Odogaron, and a Palumu.
That's because it was like 3 a.m. and I had to go. I wanted.
Oh no! It gives 50,000 credits upon finishing it.
Yeah, I'll do
but
that.
You're only allowed
no
one
problem.
Card.
Dude, I'm in for it. If it, that's no. My friends are like no, because Odo. They don't like Odo, but me. Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell.
The one that none of my friends want to do is the 15-minute tempered Kieran.
Ooh.
Is that the one you immediately get after doing the quest?
No, they give you. Oh yeah.
I have that too, and my friends are like, "No, I'm never touching Kieran again." And I'm like, "Okay."
Oh,
but
have any of you guys done the event quest for Kieran?
Yeah.
The double low rank Kieran.
I didn't realize it was low rank.
Oh,
yeah, I haven't
low
done
rank.
it either.
Oh, I could do that.
do it,
Do you guys get anything? Do you get anything for it?
Kieran Parks.
Sense of pride and accomplishment.
Okay. Yeah. Hey.
Practice for the inevitable lightning storm that you're going to go through later on.
I just asked because there's a couple event quests, and I know at one point I got some black bandana thing, and I don't know where I got it from, if it was an event or not.
Speaking of which, I got a weird, just like, hey, or here's a helmet that gives you Elder Seal up, and
Right.
I don't know where I got it from. Aside from, I know what
Weird.
I did, but I don't know what the conditions were to get it. Arena quests. My friend and I did an arena quest, and there was an exclamation mark over the arena quest lady, and she's like, "Here's this helmet." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's weird." Especially since I had done that quest already previously. It's not like just doing that arena quest did it. It was just like,
Weird.
hey, we did it together and we got it. Maybe it was we're getting a certain time, but
I mean, in previous games, they did have something like that where if you beat all of them with a B rank, and then all of them with an A rank, you got certain things. Like there's a couple earrings that you got specifically for you and Generations for doing that. And one of them had like Load Up and Trap Master or something like that, and the other, I think, had a crazy amount of handicraft or something.
I mean, it's cool, but I definitely didn't get B rank and everything. I've got C in several monsters. And this was post me having done all of the monsters, so it can't have been like get X amount in all the monsters, because it only happened once I had been replaying quests with a friend. So I don't know.
No idea.
Cool. Well, thank you, hunters, for joining us today. And remember, we'll see you next quest. Check me out at Fortuan on Twitter.
Nice seeing you all, and I hope you have a wonderful, beautiful day.
All right, see you guys later. You can catch me at Dread Pirate Rada on Twitter.
That's awesome. That's an awesome Twitter handle.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I am CsColley on Twitch, Reddit, YouTube, Twitter, and my free cams. You said promote.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Thank you, hunters, for listening today. You can catch us on SoundCloud or any past episodes on Google Drive download or YouTube.